My name is Ellis Palmer and welcome to my, now relatively new vlog on Spanish politics of the London economic. I'm so sorry it's taken me about 3 months to get around to shooting this vlog because it's a combination of essays, something called Christmas, then exams. I had my first semester exams, and then when all that finished and I was ready to start shooting this vlog, my friend's camera was broken. Thankfully, his camera's now fixed, so we can shoot this vlog, and I'm hoping it should be a good one. Today's vlog will be about 2 new and complementary groupings in Spanish politics. The Union, Progress and Democracy Party, henceforth referred to as UPyD, and the Ciutadans, or Citizens Party. In this edition of the blog, I will be analysing who these groups are, how they came about, the key personalities within them, the differences between these groupings, and the effect that they will have on Spanish politics at both a national and regional level. Okay, first up, UPyD, the older of the 2 parties, was founded in 2007 by a group of anti-ETA civil society activists, mostly based in the Basque Country, called Plataforma Pro. The leader, Rosa Díez, was a prominent person within the PSOE, within the Spanish Socialist Party, the PSOE, in the Basque Country. She was originally a deputy in the European Parliament, elected as a PSOE deputy, and then in 2008 she became the party's sole deputy in the Spanish Congress after the national elections. The party then won a Euro deputy at the Spanish national European parliamentary elections in 2009, and that was Paco Sosa Wagner. He's now left the party and sits, I think, as an independent within the European Parliament. The party did relatively well in the 2011 general election, considering it had been set up 4 years earlier, when it gained 5 deputies in the Cortes Generales, that is, the Spanish Parliament. These are Álvaro Manchuelo, an economist, Carlos Martínez Gaudián, a founding member of the party and a leading philosophy professor at the University of the Basque Country, Toni Canto, a prominent actor, Irina Lozano, a Madrid-based writer and author, and, of course, not forgetting Rosa Díez, a former long-term PSOE politician, once described not so long ago as Spain's most trusted politician. Following on from this recent success, following on from basically this relative success, the party had quite limited success in contesting a number of regional elections across the country. However, it did gain several elected representatives in Madrid and a deputy in both the Basque Country and Asturias. Despite this, it was unable to gain deputies in regional parliaments in Andalusia and Catalonia when those regional parliamentary elections were contested back in 2012. In 2014, the party stood at the European parliamentary election, gaining 4 deputies and negotiating its way into the ALDE group in the European Parliament. So, onto the party's platform, so to speak. It defines itself as a transversal party. Ergo, it sees itself as taking policies from the left and the right. For example, it sees the need to reform and modernise the Spanish constitution so that it supports the creation of a more federal Spain within a federal European Union. However, it's taken a strong stance against the government's reforms to the workplace, the Reforma Laboral, and has stood very firm against Spanish corruption, with a campaign highlighting that it hasn't had any of its elected members indicted for corruption, something that's become a frequent occurrence across the political spectrum in Spain. Similarly, another thing I'd say about UPyD is actually they've been quite successful in terms of, they've been quite vehement, one should say, and quite successful in constructing an anti-nationalist narrative across Spain. They claim they're the only party that defends the same policy across Spain, given actually in Spain a lot of the political parties, say the Partido Popular, the PSOE, Ciudadanos even to a certain extent, they all defend different parties in different regions because of the regional structure of the parties. So, now into Ciudadanos. I said something erroneously earlier on, and that was that UPyD is the older of the 2 parties. Actually, it isn't. Ciudadanos was set up in 2006. It describes itself as a civic platform created by a group of Catalan intellectuals and professionals opposed to Catalan nationalism, who felt that non-nationalist positions were not being sufficiently represented within the Catalan political discourse. Its leader, Albert Rivera, a lawyer, who studied at the Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona, has been the leader since 2006. He stood at the 2006 Catalan elections to be the candidate of the President of the Generalitat, and he's stood for that position ever since. However, he's a former member of the youth wing of the PP. Although the party was originally set up in Catalonia, it's developed more of a national presence in recent years through links with a number of regional parties, but I'll come to that later. It now has representation in the Catalan Parliament with 9 deputies, 2 MEPs and 12 councillors votes around the country. It's had a fair amount of controversy in recent times, and its leading candidate for the European parliamentary elections was found to have bank accounts in Switzerland, somewhat tarnishing the party's hitherto strong stance on corruption. The party defines itself as a non-nationalist centre-left grouping, although it's been fairly comfortable lining up with the Partido Popular in Catalonia in order to attempt to thwart the celebration of a consulta in Catalonia on the 9th of November. It's also been quite prominent in the anti-nationalist protests here in Catalonia as well. However, that said, it does define itself as being a progressive, liberal and social democratic party. Now, to look at what's discursively linked these two parties together. They're both anti-nationalist parties, positioned near the centre of the Spanish political spectrum, and recently joined forces with the Liberal ALDE group in the European Parliament. There's been much speculation linking these two parties together since UPyD started up in 2007. However, any sort of link between the two parties has been unanimously rejected by UPyD on successive occasions. Most recently in November-December time, when there was a meeting between Senor Rivera and Senor Badaif, and there were various things that occurred, and UPyD basically came out and said, we don't want to join together with Ciudadanos because we basically see the way they've elaborated upon themselves at a national level. They're fine in Catalonia, we're fine with them in Catalonia, but the way they've elaborated upon themselves at a national level, we don't, we're not necessarily comfortable with because of some of the positions they've taken at by joining together regional parties. Ciutadans has basically just said that, or Ciutadans, Albert Rivera has just come out and said, well, those are the F's being obstinate and in it for self-interest to a certain extent, and it's going to be interesting to see what occurs after the Spanish general elections later on this year, end of next year, because I've got a feeling these two parties may find themselves either on either end of a legislative coalition supporting the PSOE or the PP, or possibly together in coalition with either of those two parties. But it will be very, very interesting to see what happens at a national level. And I mean, I think that, okay, UPyD, we've currently got 5 deputies in the Spanish Congress. I can see them expanding in regional parliaments, particularly in Andalusia, when they hold their elections in March, and in the rest of the country when they hold the national autonomous elections for the autonomous parliaments, the parliaments of the communities in May. I can see UPyD expanding on there, but similarly I can also see Ciudadanos expanding on their existing base and expanding on their recent expansion nationally, given that actually Albert Rivera has actually gained quite a significant profile at a national level, appearing on several Spanish political television shows, which are quite popular here in Spain, and has actually gained quite a lot of support from kind of ex-PSOE voters, who are maybe centrist or centre-left, but they're disillusioned with the PSOE because actually outside of Madrid and outside of its traditional heartlands, I think the PSOE could be heading for about maybe 23-24% in the polls, which is quite a significant defeat. And I don't necessarily think the PSOE, people who used to vote PSOE or voted PSOE in 2011, necessarily feel represented by them now. They seem as a soft option. So the harder left of the PSOE vote, some of the Izquierda Unida vote will move to Podemos. The more centrist vote will move to groups like UPyD and Ciudadanos, but particularly Ciudadanos because they're perceived to be the new kid on the block nationally. Rosa Díez and UPyD, on the other hand, I think we'll gain about probably 8 or 9 deputies in the Spanish Parliament, but I don't think they will gain a significant number than that. Ciutadans, I think we'll do particularly for Ciutadans. I think we'll do particularly well here in Catalonia. Given the fact that a lot of the time the leader of the PP is perceived to be a little bit too extreme for a lot of the nationalist voters. Sorry if anybody's listening to this who's in the PP, but Sanchez Camacho is perceived by the general population to be a little bit extreme, and Ciutadans are more perceived to be that sort of soft anti-nationalist vote. So we'll have to wait. I think we'll do well in Catalonia. I think we may gain about 4 or 5 deputies at a national level. Maybe 1 or 2 in Catalonia on the Catalonian lists, and maybe 1 or 2 in other regions as well. But hey, that's all up for grabs. And so please check out the previous videos I've done on this vlog. And if anybody wants any more information, do not hesitate to contact me on my Twitter account, which is @EllisPalmer94. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Speak to you soon. Ta-ra.